and we want to make sure and be respectful of those schedules. My name is Kerry Pfeffer, and it is my honor to act as your host today and to tell you about the excitement around this 20th anniversary luncheon. First things first, I want to get a chance to acknowledge we have elected officials here in the room. We have representatives of some of our federal elected officials and statewide elected officials. If you happen to be one of those individuals, what we'd like to do now is have you stand and acknowledge those individuals. Could you please stand, and we'd love to give you a round of applause. Very good, thank you very much. Also with us, and people who certainly understand the excitement about today, we have former members who've been on the board for the authority, folks who have served in the past. If you are one of those individuals, could you please stand and please be recognized? For almost all of us in this room, today is something that we can celebrate, but it also represents, for many of us, something that's been part of our lives for years. Many of you have a passion for flight or a passion for airports and the magic that comes around this kind of a facility, and specifically this one. For me, it's in my DNA. My mom was at West Milwaukee High School, and there was this roar of an airplane buzzing the high school. The person flying that airplane was trying to get the attention of one of my mom's best friends in biology class, and he was doing it by buzzing the high school back in the late 30s. That was Paul Poberezny. Paul went on to establish the Experimental Aircraft Association, and so for all of my life, I remember being around those folks and getting a chance to meet them, and then as a news reporter for many years covering the airline industry and aviation. For many of you, you probably also have a story about how you became connected to this world. And that's something that we're celebrating today as well. I want to acknowledge our sponsors because they understand that as well and have taken the time to stand up and be counted for this event, and we want to make sure that they are recognized. What I'd like to do is read our sponsors and then have you give them a round of applause. Our promotional sponsors: HDR Engineering, HNTB, Recondo and Associates, CH2M Hill, and Morrison Merrily. Can we give them a round of applause? Our presenting sponsors: Wells Fargo, Salt River Project, Dibble Engineering, Kimley Horn, and DL Withers. Please, a round of applause for them. And for our presenting sponsor, I want to give you a little bit of a history, because I said many people here in this room have a history of why they're connected to this world. And the person I'm about to introduce certainly has that story. Sandra, not only from growing up in her early years in Anchorage, Alaska, had an understanding of the aviation world. Her parents were involved in the airline industry, but she really became connected while helping to build the family's aerobatic biplane. How many other people here in the room have? No, probably not a lot of us. It's from that early history that Sandra became interested in the aviation world, and then specifically in architecture in aviation, and she has been part of the Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport process for the last 7 years. She is a representative of our presenting sponsor, DWL. Would you please welcome Sandra Kukla.
Thank you. We are honored to have been invited by Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport to sponsor this special event. DWL also just celebrated an anniversary, 65 years creating architecture in the Valley. For those of you who don't know me and DWL, we have been completely thrilled to be Gateway's partner in this amazing journey of planning, design, and construction of the terminal complex. As a pilot myself, I think Carrie mentioned that, but I'm also an aviation enthusiast. And you couldn't ask for a more personally fulfilling project. To be able to be on the ground floor of this important place is exactly why my colleagues and I grew up dreaming about designing buildings. We started here at Gateway 7 years ago, as mentioned, as just the on-call architect, surprisingly. And we didn't have any idea about the anticipated speed of growth that was before us. But we quickly learned. And I'm sure that all of you know, and more importantly, have been part of that success story of the airport. So I don't need to go into details about how the terminal grew from 2 gates to 10 gates and all of that passenger growth. What I think is more special is that we, all of us, had the opportunity to make a difference in the community. It's about improving the lives of people, giving all of us an easy way to connect to other cities in the country, and for the connection of those families and businesses. So when I was preparing for today, I kept asking myself, why is Gateway different? Why is it such a success? Because it is, it's different. I believe it's the people. It's all of you, the remarkable staff, and the incredible support from the board. So as a local business and an architect with a dream, I want to thank the Gateway Airport and each community that rallies for the airport. Mesa, Gilbert, Queen Creek, Phoenix, Gila River, and Apache Junction. So thanks to all of you.
Thanks, Sandra. As you continue to enjoy your meal, what we'd like you to do is fix your attention on the screens, because we've got some additional history and understanding and perspective for those of you who perhaps don't know the full 20-year exciting history at Gateway. Going to get a chance to learn about that, then visit with your colleagues at the table, and we'll continue our program just a little bit later. So let's roll the video. And for the board members and employees, some days it feels like it moves at about that pace, too. There are certainly times in the operation of any airport where there are challenges, there's lots of history, and we're going to get a chance to talk a little bit about that. Why don't we grab one of those microphones, and we'll begin with Mayor Alex Finter, the City of Mesa. First of all, just as a point of clarification, apparently some other guy was mayor of Mesa until recently. Is that correct? Or?
Yes, our favorite Scott Smith.
Oh, yeah, I've heard him. I don't know what he's up to now, but just kidding. Talk a little bit about, you not only serving as mayor and having been on the council, but also in your past service as a firefighter, you understand and understood from a firefighter's perspective what it means when you take on a place like what was Williams Air Force Base.
Right. Well, the slideshow brought back some great memories for many people. I've looked around in the room. A lot of us go way back to the Williams Air Force Base days. As a kid in the 60s, our family was a military family. We would drive out to the base, like the mayor mentioned in the video, that it was a long drive. And we'd go out to the commissary, to the PX, medical treatment, and then we'd all go out and park by the runway and watch the planes come in and out. And then over the years, as things had developed, I spent my time in public safety and had an opportunity to serve out in that area. And I would bring my own children out there, and we would park and watch the planes and all the wonderful aviation responses. And then now, serving in this public service through the community, we've watched, and I remember the early days of the transition. It was awful quiet out there, and now to see the energy grow and develop and to see what's going on out there, we truly use the analogy, the diamond in the rough is becoming a beautiful diamond now and really starting to grow. So.
And Mayor Finter, talk a little bit about, in the ups and downs, and certainly everybody in this room understands that, there's always competing resource issues and all that sort of thing, yet the city has maintained that strong relationship with the airport. Talk about the importance of that.
Absolutely. City of Mesa is dedicated to the success of Gateway Airport. It is the huge economic engine of the East Valley. We realize that. Through the most difficult of recession times, we've made the commitment to get the resources and the planning and the efforts, and now we're starting to see the fruit of those when you look at Able and Embraer and Cessna and all the growth and everything that's going out there. we're really excited. The investment is starting to pay off, and it's exciting to be in the city of Mesa with our fellow council members and others and finally see this start to blossom.
Absolutely. If you can hand the microphone off to Mayor Barney. We're talking first to some of the legacy board members because understanding that history is something that the town of Queen Creek also very much understands and values. And Mayor, talk a little bit, I mean, you've been on the council since 2002. You certainly understand some of the more recent history, but your family has been part of the community for years. Talk a little bit about what the airport means for the town of Queen Creek.
Before I answer that, I would like to say I've lived off the main runway of Williams Air Force Base all my life. Our farm is like 2.5 miles from the end of the runway where I grew up and farmed, so I am quite familiar with all of the noise and all of the problems and the overflights that have been associated with the airport. But as far as economic in Queen Creek, it is probably right now one of the strongest assets the East Valley has, and especially Queen Creek has. It's a great part of our economic development plan. We're working hand in hand with the other partners of the airport. Queen Creek is a small part of the airport, granted, but we're treated as an equal. They ask our questions. It's a great partnership. It proves that communities can get together and can work together to accomplish something that's great, just not only for your community, but for the East Valley, for the state of Arizona as a whole. And because of the growth of the airport, I've seen the communities come together, and there's a lot more understanding about each other's problems. So it's been a great benefit to Queen Creek and to me, well, my family personally, because we're going to benefit as a family, as a community, and as a state because of the progress and the accomplishments of Williams Gateway.
Very cool.
Excuse me, Phoenix Mesa Williams Gateway.
That's right, exactly. For the purposes of the luncheon, I'm just going to refer to it as Gateway Airport, otherwise it might extend our time here if I said that fully. And talk a little bit about, you also, I'm sure, appreciate just the history. Mark talked about it in the video. I mean, the town made that commitment from early on.
Yes, when Queen Creek was one of the founding partners due to the local community, especially our town council at the time, which I only can remember who one of them was now. It was Mark Sneff, and he could probably tell you exactly who else was on council at the time. And where I was not part of Queen Creek community at the time, so politics was the furthest thing from my mind, and I didn't pay much attention. But that's changed, Mark.
It has indeed.
I pay quite a bit of attention now, but it's been a fantastic partnership, fantastic growth, and we're looking forward to working with our fellow communities, to the newest current member, Apache Junction, to the oldest member, Williams Gateway in the Gila River community. It's just a fantastic partnership.
Very good. Thanks, Mayor. If you can hand the microphone to Vice Mayor Cook. The town of Gilbert also made that early commitment, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. But you have a unique perspective because you come from an Air Force family. Talk a little bit about some of that history.
Well, thank you. When I was a young man many years ago, my father, back in the late 60s and early 70s, was stationed at Williams Air Force Base. And I remember growing up there on the Air Force Base. And you may remember that was the premier training facility for the new Air Force Academy pilots that wanted to learn how to fly jets. So the T-37s and the T-38s were the aircraft of choice at that time. And it's funny to think that many years ago, that actually inspired me to pursue an education where I actually got my engineering degree from ASU, from the Aerospace Mechanical Engineering Department, and wanted to become an astronaut. And it was funny to think that I eventually did land in a small company in Tempe called Space Data Corporation, and which then emerged into orbital sciences. And I actually at one time had on my business card I was a rocket scientist, and was able to launch a number of rockets out of the Cape. But I think about those many years ago, where all of us had thought that the Williams Air Force Base was going to be that huge economic powerhouse here in the East Valley, and when the federal government decided not to continue that, it was a big pain for us. I remember that. And I know we fight for Luke Air Force Base on the west side, but I know that our leaders in the past, Mayor Cynthia Dunham, with her leadership and the vision of Gilbert being a partner with the other municipalities and the Gila River community, saw that this would be a wonderful economic development for us in the East Valley, and we look forward to, again, a thriving business here.
Absolutely, thank you. And understanding that perspective is really important. If you could hand the microphone to Jennifer Allison. Jennifer, you saw in the videotape, talked a little bit about the history and an understanding of what Gateway has become now. Jennifer, talk a little bit about why this is an important relationship for the Gila River Indian community.
Thank you. Just to say, first of all, that I'm not on the board at present. At one time, I was the lieutenant governor for the Gila River Indian community, and that put me in position to be on the board representing our community. Currently, our lieutenant governor is Stephen Rowe Lewis. Unfortunately, he had planned to be here. As you all know, being a politician, things come up. So maybe he'll show up later, but for our community, it's very progressive. And at that time, I was very impressed, just as a citizen of my district or my community, how we were involved as a Native American tribe to be involved in an enterprise such as the airport. It was amazing to me, and I was very proud of how we had become involved with this. As you might know, that our lands were from the Gila River Indian community, and as far as you could see, meaning all the way even further than north of Scottsdale and in this area. So when the lands came about, we ended up coming back to our Aboriginal lands, and that's why we are part of the board, because we're in that area. And as you saw in the video, we have our songs, a specific song coming from that area, and being a traditional singer, along with the singer that you saw there, Barnaby Lewis, we were a part of that ceremony and opening up the dedication in that way. But for our community, I think it's very very much also an understanding that any time you can be a part of a progressive movement such as what we have here, I think that's just going to be a big plus for any community, such as what's been who is being represented up here. I just thoroughly enjoyed my time during 2006 to up to 2009. I really wanted to say that I admire the members of the board that were with me at that time. Mr. Lynn Kuzi, who just ran the show for us so efficiently and smoothly. And so for the future of Gila River being on the board, I'm just seeing great things happen. Anytime we can get from one place to another in an efficient way and in a pleasant way. I've heard many positive comments about how travels for people have been. So that's about all I can add at this time, and just thank everyone for being here.
Very good. We appreciate that perspective, because I think that is important. If you can hand the mic, oh, there you got a microphone there, Marilyn Sulaco. The newest member of the board is Apache Junction, and the city has made that decision to take this step forward. Mayor, talk a little bit about that, because again, we certainly know what governments have gone through in the last few years and the challenges, but you clearly, for Apache Junction, you cited this as something that was a priority.
Well,
Go ahead, you're good.
I'd like to say that I got a few people to thank. Mayor Scott Smith, he pushed us a little bit.
That's very unusual for him.
Yeah, very unusual. But the other person was Rock Arnett, getting us into the East Valley. We don't feel like the redheaded stepchild anymore. We did. By being into the airport, being part of the East Valley, it's helped us a great deal by being recognized. And I have to thank those two men for pushing us and being friends of Apache Junction, because they are. They're friends of the whole East Valley. So it's, even though we're kind of landlocked, someday that land south of us is going to open up, and it's going to benefit all of us. Not just us, everybody. So that's what we're hoping for. We're hoping now that we're part of the East Valley, which we are, just because we're across that Maricopa-Pinal County line, we're there. Have we seen any great things happen? Not yet.
It's early.
But we can see them coming.
Right.
We can see the camaraderie helping. That's about all I can say. It is a good thing, and I'm glad we're on.
Right.
And I don't know if any pilots ever flew up in the Globe area where I was from before I came here. You land at Globe Cutter Airport, you better check your shorts when you get out of the plane. Because that's where I learned to fly, and that's I haven't had a chance to fly into Williams, but that's an airport to be desired.
Very good. What I'd like you to do is to stay up here in your seats. What you heard across the board from many of the members is how much this has meant not only to be part of the airport and to be part of the leadership there, but also the understanding together of working together, understanding each other's issues, and being able to work as a team. And I think that has been so much a part of the success story that Gateway represents. Now let's look into the future a little bit. This is an airport that has an unbelievably exciting future, I think, and that's one of the things that has drawn me to this community, to be a part of that process. I think there is an excitement about that process. And we mentioned Lynn Kuzi and his terrific work in laying the groundwork for what this airport is becoming. Now, let's hear from the current executive director. Jane has been part of the aviation world here in the Valley for many years. That's how she and I first got to know each other. She's put in just a mere 20 plus years with the city of Phoenix, has public service in her DNA, and has certainly been the embodiment of that throughout her career. Would you please give a warm welcome for Jane Morris?
I'm not used to having my backs to you, so excuse that. Before I make future remarks, I wanted to have about if you could help me with 3 thank yous. First, to Carrie, who volunteered to be the MC for today's event. To Gary in the back standing, Gary, thank you, and for your hotel team. What a wonderful, wonderful meal. So those 2 first, thank you. As I look across the room, I think you all get what it takes to put on an event with 250 of your closest friends. It is a year-long planning event, and Brian and the airport team that's here today, could you stand today? And we all want to thank you for all of the work you've done. Airport staff, I know you're out here, Maria. The small group here today represents the 100-plus folks that are back at the airport making things happen while we're here enjoying this great food and great history. As I've been walking around the event, I was looking at your pins. Everybody got your lapel pin on or somewhere near your, I'm going to talk about that pin in a minute. So on behalf of the Airport Authority staff and the Aviation Board as represented in front of us, we thank you for coming and celebrating the success of the Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport, our first 20 years. What you've heard today, it's a labor of love. You've heard it from our sponsor. You feel it as you have met all the staff over the years. It is a labor of love. There are some staff that are here today. I will not call you out. I'm looking at some of you right now. You started your job in jeans, safety goggles, and gloves, and you were out on the airfield, and you were stripping paint, you were moving arresting system chains, you were making the airport ready for our FAA required requirements. And so what a difference 20 years makes. Our combined budget at that time, I think Lynn would remember this, was a little under $3 million total all in budget. Today, staff not only maintains and improves that airfield, but we manage, as you've heard, over 1 million people a year, over almost 1.5 million square feet of buildings at Gateway today. This isn't even talking about our future, what we have today. And the team is taking those assets and we're working on marketing them. And so when you put that combined budget together of the capital side and the operating side, started at $3 million in our first year, we're at $36 million in the coming fiscal year 15. So 20 years ago, we had no earned income. We were a startup airport. Without the help of our FAA and ADOT grants, we would be behind. So we appreciate those funds. Our earned income going into fiscal year 15, it was 0 20 years ago. Good to let you all know that we're projecting about $16 million in earned income, not including grants and the support that we appreciate getting from the state and the federal government. $16 million of earned income coming out of Gateway. I could only hope my kids have that kind of projected earned growth from 0 to 16 million. I'm gonna hold that out as the baseline for my kids. What potential? So today's event, I hope, Sandra and I didn't coordinate notes here, but I think you maybe are getting a sense of why we're so different. We are a different airport. We're a different airport because of our 6-member agencies, as represented this afternoon, with that partnership, that shared vision that goes for the long haul. This is not a short haul, a short dream. This is a long haul vision. And you heard 7 years ago, Allegiant Air, the Authority Board, and Gateway staff started this business relationship, and it's developed into us growing from that 0 gates to 4 gates to 10 that we have today, and that 1.2 million plus passengers that Allegiant has carried. But our team isn't done. We continue to speak not only with Allegiant, but other airline partners. We need to realize a goal of daily air service to large hub airports. And again, as we've heard Mayor Smith, that was probably one of the first things that he put in front of me as I came onto the staff just over a year ago. The vision is 2 to 5 million passengers. It's a large vision, but I think we can do it. We want to also add more square footage, about 500,000 more square foot of building. We think that is doable in the next 10 years. And we look at doubling our aircraft operations. These are things that are doable given the teamwork that we have in place with the board and with the staff that we have on the authority. So you guys all got your pin on? We're good? Got your pin on? Yes? So you're now all officially part of the Gateway marketing team. Mike, where are you? Mike and his team, Tiffany, all the staff is here. You are now on the Gateway marketing team. In front of you is a jump drive for you to use, and Brian has put things on it to help you with that effort. And we would be very happy to add more to you, and so please take that before you go. So please imagine the board in the pilot seat before you today. We are all the co-pilots. Our destination is 2024, and we have a lot of work to do to get there. So check your seatbelt, make sure it's on. We cannot sit back and relax. I will take that out of the equation. It's wheels up now. It's wheels up for the East Valley. It's wheels up for Phoenix Mesa Gateway and all of the communities that we represent. And welcome aboard to the future, 2024. Thank you.
Thanks, Jane. And just getting a sense for where things are going makes this an even a more exciting event, and understanding the tremendous potential that still is ahead for Gateway. It's an exciting time. We thank the board members very much. I in sharing this enthusiasm, just want to make the announcement that I've agreed to be the MC for the 50th anniversary luncheon. I'll be 87, and as we all know, 87 is the new 67. So keep that in mind. We thank you very, very much for being here. We appreciate it. And again, Jane has given us our marching orders. We're all part of the same team. Thank you very much for being here.